What is up, motherfuckers? Welcome back to the Avarice podcast. Another movie companion today. Following along the lines of what we just did, I'm going to be doing American Pie 2. Just dropped American Pie 1, and as I mentioned on that one, Netflix is getting rid of the American Pie movies on April 1st. Today is the 31st, so I'm going to go ahead and do number 2 today, and I'll still do American Wedding. It'll just be later on. I believe I own that, but I'm not sure. And in the last podcast, I was talking about these movies, and I totally forgot that American Reunion even existed. I kept referring to it as the 3, being American Pie 1, American Pie 2, American Wedding. And then they went into the weeds with Band Camp and Naked Mile and fucking Golden Flute and all this shit. And then they circled back around to American Reunion. That one was in an era where I didn't watch a lot of movies. I know I've seen it, but apparently it just didn't stick the way these other ones stuck. And I think a lot of that is going to have to do with the age that I was probably when I watched it. And shit, I just opened my Keurig because I thought it was done brewing and it was just getting ready to start. I'm an asshole. It doesn't have feelings. It doesn't care. So American Pie was interesting because, well, let me digress. If you're new to the show, as you've probably figured out by now, I start every episode by making myself a cup of coffee on the Keurig here. Then I stroll over into my living room, I hit my bong, and I start the movie. You'll be able to slightly hear it in the background at parts. It's definitely not a substitute for watching it if you've never seen it before. But I kind of comment on what's going on. Sometimes something will pop into my head because of what I see, and I'll go off on a tangent. I always circle back around to the movie. Basically because I do these shows by myself. Using the format of watching a movie or TV show during the podcast ensures that I'm always going to have something to bounce ideas off of. I don't have another person here talking for me to be able to incorporate what they're saying into my thoughts and have a response. So the movie gives me a continuous stream of shit coming towards me that I'm observing that I can in turn talk about if I find myself struggling a little bit. Most of the time, something that I don't even suspect that I see in the movie makes me think of a story, and I can go off for 20 minutes and it'll be the most minor element, but it'll just be it's hard to explain. But there's scenes in movies that when you see them and you go, oh shit, that reminds me of, girl in high school, a game that I lost, a conversation I had with my parents. And that can take you down a whole road. And I'll follow that road if it gets there because it is a podcast. And I am not required in any way to address the film. That was a pretty long-winded explanation, and I don't know if it was very clear. Okay, so I've now got my coffee and I'm seated. If you're not great at the inference game, I am watching this on Netflix, American Pie 2, but by the time you are able to hear it, it will no longer be on Netflix. So you're on your own if you want to try to sync it up and use this as a commentary track over the movie. I don't feel that it's 100% necessary. I try to make it a standalone piece of content to where it's not married to the visual product of the movie. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll probably notice it's just some still shots of the movie because I have to have something in there to fill the video component in order to be able to put it on YouTube. So that's what we've got going on there. All right. Let's take a rip off the pipe. It's actually a bong, a water pipe. kind of smoking style do you employ? Do you just rip off a chunk, shove it in there, and light it up? Do you break it down? Are you a blunt person? Are you a pipe person? I'm a bong person, and pretty much without exception, I take my nugs, I break them apart, and I get the big stems out of there because I fucking hate smoking stems. I usually toss those in my mouth and chew on them for a while. I put the smaller pieces into a grinder, I grind it up, and then I pack it into the bowl of my bong, and then I take corner hits. If you don't know what a corner hit is, you spark the lighter, and you bring it towards the bowl, but from the edge on the outside. And then you begin to suck, and the flame will suck into the bowl on the outermost edge and burn its way inward slowly. And you're kind of able to control your greens that way. I developed that from sharing with other people, because you always want somebody to get some greens. But I kept going that way because the greens are the best shit. So why not work my way around and try to have greens on every stroke? So that's my philosophy with it. I also hit a vape pen occasionally. Weed smoking seems to be, for a lot of people, and probably myself included, as much about ritual as it is about execution. Because there will be times where I'll smoke, but if the mood or the vibe isn't right, if I'm anxious, if I'm on the go, it just doesn't set in the right way. But if you get the ritual right, and I go about it the right way, I'm nice and chill, relaxed, let it come to me slowly, don't feel rushed about anything, that's when you get the full experience out of it. The ritual seems to be important. Okay, now I am getting ready to start the movie. Netflix kept playing fucking random trailer and sounds and shit on me, so I went ahead and just turned it on and let it play for a second and paused it. So now I'm rewinding it back to the beginning, and I'm going to play in 3, 2, 1, play. Never find out why he left you. This wasn't my vibe for music back then. I was more into hip hop, so I don't even know who this is. Is it Blink-182? So I started to talk about this earlier, and then I went down the path of explaining the show. American Pie 1 came out in 99, and there'd been movies kind of like this before. They were more teen exploitations. This one did it tasteful enough and was a quality enough production to reach the broad audience, and it kind of pushed an envelope of what was accepted socially in mainstream movies. Shortly after that, in 2000, you had Scary Movie come out, which really pushed it. Scary Movie is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, especially the first time I saw it. So when they decided to make American Pie 2, they're contending with this ante that they helped up. They're responsible for this new culture and the kind of raunchy comedy being status quo. So basically what we get out of it is a doubling down of everything. I've kind of examined it from a bird's eye, and we had some defining traits for all of our main characters in the beginning, or in the first film, and they basically just doubled down on every single one of those traits for each one of those characters and make them a little bit more cartoonish, but it also, the ante's upped. We got to come up with something. You can't do... Because I just watched American Pie 1, and it almost seemed a little bit conservative, like a little bit tame in comparison to some other movies that came after it. But it set the standard at the time. So, Jim's dad is a cliche father in the first one. Kind of funny, gets into these awkward situations with Jim. That pretty much stays the same, but Jim gets himself into really embarrassing situations. He can't get anything right, and he doesn't have a lot of luck with women. That is all doubled down in this one. And it starts right away with this opening scene. This uncomfortable friendly goodbye sex, which I've never heard of anybody wanting to have friendly goodbye sex. I'll be your roommate if that means you're going to want friendly goodbye sex. I didn't know that was part of the deal. It's worth it. Jim's still a novice. This is supposed to take place at the end of their freshman year of college, even though it came out 2 years later. It's actually, this movie came out just a little over a month before 9/11. This came out August of 2001. Ooh. At this point in time, like now in present day, this is a little bit played out, but at the time it was fucking funny. It was really funny. They managed to come up with some unique situations to put him in still. It didn't seem rushed and forced. And they didn't change the core elements of the characters either. They, like I said, they kind of doubled down. She brought a pie. They doubled down on the character elements, but they didn't change them in a weird fashion. It seems to have been written by the same people, or at least people that had the same ideals in mind. I have not been here the whole time. I would hope not. You just watching. That is... Come on, Jim. You didn't lock the fucking door? Nova! What's up, you piece of shit? I don't know what he says to him, actually. And Stifler in this is still Stifler. In American Wedding, something weird happens, and he becomes kind of goofy and loses all of his confidence, and is more of a dumbass. Like, he's a less realistic character in American Wedding, but in this, he's still on point. Those red hearts on her panties, dude. And it was catchphrase city with this movie. There was so many lines from this movie that I was walking around repeating. Those little red hearts on her panties, dude. Or, I can taste the bubbles. Things of that. Oh, don't forget your penis cream. I pulled out that line once at a high school football game. I was there with a girl that I wasn't dating per se, but we were going to go to the upcoming dance together. And for some reason, that line, there's little red hearts on her panties, popped into my head while we're sitting there watching the football game. And she goes, no. And she actually pulls out her waistband, you know, and pulls it out down like 2 inches and shows me the pattern on her panties to confirm that they were not hearts. But I was like, well, now I know what they are, and I have that image. Thank you. So, I got to see a girl's panties because of American Pie 2 and Stifler's behavior. Inadvertently. Yeah. So I try. Nope, Jim's home at room. He's in his room at home. I was gonna say before that, I started to try to watch the movie Rollerball from 2002 with Chris Klein in it, and it is fucking horrible. It is such trash. You can tell they spent a lot of movie on it. I bet the people, when they were filming it, thought it was gonna be good, but it fucking sucks. Half of it doesn't make sense. The game seems dumb. And I've come to realize that Chris Klein is not that great of an actor. In the first American Pie, he was doing this thing where when he's talking to the girls and like changing his voice and excuse me, and it just read as really inauthentic and disingenuous. And I thought that was supposed to be part of his character. I thought like he's putting on a front, but I think that's just how he acts. And so I'm curious to see in this if my observations are correct. I don't mean to cast shade on the dude. I think he had a decent career, but my God, not the best acting performances I've ever seen. Like he sounds like a pro athlete giving an interview almost. It's the words don't flow out naturally when he's talking. Of these four, he's definitely the worst actor. I think Kevin would probably be the one, number 3, and then it's close between Finch and Jim for second place and first place as far as how authentic they feel, how good the acting performance is. I think I'd probably have to give Jim the nod just because he's put in more uncomfortable positions. He has to do shit that would be harder to act natural during than Finch does. Look at them titties. Is she the girl with Tourette's from Not Another Teen Movie? Lick my pussy ass cock shit. So see, Stifler's still Stifler, just a little bit of the ante upped. I guess Stifler's not doubled down too much. He's just kind of the same guy. I didn't really identify for you guys their traits though. So Stifler's kind of like the jock, dickhead, cool guy. You could say he's the life of the party, but a lot of people don't really like him. But he's always in the center of everything. And it's just your classic dick. I forgot Sherman was in this. Jim, again, awkward, gets in embarrassing situations, very uncomfortable socially. Kevin is a little bit of a whiny bitch. He's emotional. He's super concerned with the friendship in the group. And I say he's a little bitch because he treats Tara Reid like shit in the first movie, and then as soon as she's gone in this one, he's chasing after her like a lost puppy. Oz, or the Chris Klein character, he is pussy whipped. He gets that just real soft tone of voice. He does whatever his girlfriend wants, and he's just gonna be. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Keeps him in line. He's well behaved. He doesn't get in trouble. Their relationship seems to work out. But that's like his defining characteristic, in my opinion. He's pussy whipped. She's got him wrapped around her little finger.
I can't believe those two girls. Jim, no, it's not a big deal. Yeah, they toyed with my emotions.
And Jim overthinks everything. That's another character. Like, part of why he gets into these situations, he gets himself there by thinking about it too much instead of just going with the flow. And there's Tara Reid, tits already sagging. This might be her peak in hotness terms. I don't know what happened. No offense, Tara. We're not playing game. I mean, you know the deal. Anybody who's listening knows the deal. I think it was that see how low her tits are? She never wore a bra back then. And the partying, like if you go look at The Big Lebowski, and then to look at this, it wasn't that much time, and she just aged pretty quick. I mean, there's nothing wrong with aging. Everybody ages. Time is undefeated, and if you had the opportunity to make a bunch of money starring in movies, and then kind of age quickly and fall out of the limelight, but still have that money, and then just be kind of a normal person, that's not the worst thing in the world. I would take that. Like I would age myself right now to look much older if in my past I could have starred in a few movies and I had that money sitting in the bank right now. I wouldn't give a fuck what I look like. I'd be going down in some disgusting board shorts to the beach, wearing a straw hat, just letting it all hang out. Finch had sex with Stifler's mom at the end of the last movie. So now that element is doubled down. She becomes the one that got away for him. He can't let it go. Which is weird because she's old enough to be his mother too, if she's Stifler's mother. I don't particularly find her attractive, but to each their own. He's got it bad, like Usher would say. He's smelling her perfume and looking at the books and her fucking... Stifler catches you in there, he's gonna beat your ass.
What the fuck are you doing in here?
And so it begins. That fucking shirt, both the shirts that they're wearing, but Stifler's especially, what is that, dude? That is a gross shirt. It looks like Battletoads threw up all over a shirt. What is that, like a Streets of Rage Battletoads combo shirt? Nice Kangol hat, you douche. How does everybody know? Did he tell? Or did Stifler tell? That doesn't seem like something Stifler would let go. You have Jones Soda's in the back. I didn't know Jones Soda was a thing in 2001. I went and saw this movie in the theater, but I remember watching it a lot more when it came out on DVD, the summer of 2002. That was a dope-ass summer for me.
You're so sweet.
At the time, I lived in Washington, and I came down here to Portland to visit family, and I would stay for like 3 weeks, whatever, a month. And I went to a party,
Take it slow. Come on.
and with an older family member, I won't specify, but there at the party, I became the bartender, so to speak, more of a waiter. Everybody was sitting around playing drinking games and stuff, and I was, 13, 14, and so I just walked around, and whenever somebody finished their beer, I would take the empty from them and then go get them a new one, and they started tipping me $1 every time, and I slowly built up enough money, and I went to Blockbuster Video, and I bought the previously owned DVD for American Pie 2, the unrated version. I don't think this is the unrated version, unfortunately, because it's on Netflix, and it didn't specify.
Why don't you go downstairs and get us a couple of beers?
This was a unique and hilarious scene the first time I saw it. It doesn't really make me laugh now. But I was, 12, 13, 14 when these movies came out, and that's the kind of shit you find hilarious. That made me laugh, the way she fell. And it's best because it happens to Stifler. He's a fucking dickhead. Nobody deserves to have... He actually gets humiliated a few times in the movies. He drinks the pale ale in the other one.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. It's so nice and warm.
That's a bit corny and cheesy. It goes a little too far, but I could taste the bubbles. Oh... Must not have been drinking coffee, otherwise that shit would smell like piss. That shit would smell like piss. You know what I mean. Ugh.
Let's go. Thanks, man.
See, this is one of those movies I think and I hope that it's meant to resonate with a certain age group, generation after generation. Again, cell phones, internet, not really that influential in culture at this point in time. So I don't think that it's going to resonate with today's generation and generations to come, because this social life isn't what they're used to. It's not authentic to them the way it was for us. Whereas us 90s kids, we're kind of the last kids to have this, which our parents had and their parents had. That kind of just hanging out with people your age, talking, playing cards, drinking, not all this electronics involved in everything. And it was all much more familiar. So, like, even our parents could watch that and go, oh, we did that shit. But nowadays, kids' lives are so much different socially.
You remember my first college summer? We rented that lake house in Grand Harbor. We treated every day.
This is very familiar. He called his older brother for advice in the last one, and that's how he learned about cunnilingus.
My advice is do that.
And so now his brother, who apparently is some guru, gives him the idea that they should rent a beach house and do that for the summer. And that's a solid idea, because one thing, in my opinion, that helps make a sequel successful is putting it in a different setting. Now, that's not some profound thought. It's a pretty easy dot to connect. But they're home from college, so we're not going to have it take place in college. So if we have it take place at their house or in their neighborhood, in their hometown, it's very familiar to what we just saw. So you send them to, I don't know, I think it's Lake Michigan, one of the lakes, to hang out on the beach and rent a house together, and everything's new now. All these settings, all these situations they can get to, it's all fresh and new. They were still in school in the last one. Ooh, Nadia. She's not as hot as she was in the last one. I don't know what happened. Part of it's this hair, and she's a little bit more cornball. Like, the accent makes less sense, etc. But she's still one of my all-time. Like, if I had a time machine and they're like, you can go back in time and fuck any 5 girls in history, I'm going back and knocking on Shannon Elizabeth's door circa 98, hollering at her for 25, 35 seconds.
Okay, and all I'm gonna be able to give her is rump roast.
Look at these shoes here.
Oh, come on.
Got like some Vans or Airwalks, and then the classic 3-stripe Adidas. Finch looks like he's wearing joggers or ankle sweats, which weren't popular then. Finch is eccentric, though. That's one of his main character traits. Finch is eccentric, and we just go down that path. Double down on that. He fancies himself a poet and an intellectual, and he's into stuff that the other guys really aren't into, and we go down that path more. The doubling down continues. If you look at it, Kevin is responsible for a lot of the events that drive this group of friends closer together, though. He suggests the prom pact. He suggests this trip. The indication of the first film is that they were already pretty close friends before any of that. Way to throw your bag in before they tie that down, douchebag, or afterwards. They had a pretty legit thing going there. They were putting all the bags in, putting the rope over it, tying it down, and then as they're cranking it down, Jim tosses his backpack on top of all that shit and makes it look like it's totally fake now. I forgot where I was going. What I was talking about. Keep it real, homies. That was definitely a trailer moment. And older folks speaking in that hip lingo wasn't played out yet.
I kind of thought of that. So I invited someone else.
Oh, Stifler. Stifler's the typical dickhead, and you probably wouldn't want to be friends with him, but he has to be in the movie because he adds a lot of elements of humor to it. And he's relatable for a lot of dickhead guys. And this beach, girls riding down the street on bikes and bikinis scenario, this environment, is Stifler all the way. This just screams Stifler.
Kevin Stifler's stench is unavoidable. Finch, fist yourself.
I always thought that little shot right there where he has to stand up all uncomfortable and start going, yeah, baby, we're here. That doesn't need to be there. He could say the line to Finch, then you cut to him standing up, banging on the top of the thing again. You don't need to have that awkward stand up and then, yeah, baby, we're here. That Bronco is gorgeous, though. Fuck. It's probably like a 94, 95. That is a big fucking house. You're responsible for keeping that shit clean while you're there. That's gonna take like a day a week. It is a badass house, though. I'd live in that bitch. Look at that fucking TV, though. That would be unacceptable by today's standards. You cannot, unless you're going for the rustic feel, like the old school fucking unplugged, Nirvana unplugged. Unless you're going for that feel, you gotta have a flat screen and shit like that. Mandatory places. Nobody's gonna put up with that fucking... You wouldn't even get channels. You can't get channels on that analog shit. At least not here. You have to have a digital TV to get channels. Papa San chair, those are comfortable as a motherfucker. Then again, the last time I sat in one, I was probably 11 years old. My back's not what it used to be. I bet I would wake up and regret it. Have to tweet about the Papa San chair. Hashtag me too. Slept with a Papa San chair and I regret it. Finch is over here doing tantric meditation. Look at that vintage Code Red bottle. Okay. That soda right there is my favorite soda in the entire world. And it was almost an acquired taste. When I was in junior high, the soda machine, our school district was sponsored by Pepsi, so we had Pepsi machines. But, well, I guess it had Pepsi in it. It didn't have regular Mountain Dew for some reason. It had Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Code Red, Diet Mountain Dew, Diet Pepsi, sugar-free, caffeine-free, all the shit nobody buys, water. So I didn't want to drink Pepsi all the time, and they didn't have regular Mountain Dew, so I just started getting the Code Red out of necessity, and then it just became my favorite soda. It still is to this day. That was way too deep a thought about a fucking soda, but I saw that bottle and it brought me back. They do subtle changes a lot with the logos that you don't really notice until you go back and look at the other ones. This kid is definitely autistic, right? Or is this OCD? Or ADHD? I think that's ADHD. But had to be killed and they shot it in the head and it died. So the underlying story of the film, we have kind of a couple things going on. It's the group of friends trying to stay friends now that their lives are going down all these various paths. They're no longer all wrangled together in high school. And you have the developing relationship between Jim and Michelle. They're basically just a one-night stand on prom night. She used him for sex and then bounced. And then... Okay, pause. Okay, you probably didn't notice, but I was gone for a minute. I don't know if it came through, but my son walked out and told me that he had an accident and he peed his bed. Again, seems to happen a couple times a week. I really, I don't want to get mad at him. I don't want him to be like tense about it and get anxiety about it and like feel ashamed, because It's like a skill he's got to develop. He's got to learn how to do it. But fuck, it's frustrating having to wash his sheets all the time in the middle of the night. And he's got a mattress cover that protects his mattress, but he's only got one. So anyway, we are now, the timestamp is 26:31, and I'm pushing play in 3, 2, 1, play. So,
It's like, you know all our stories?
sorry for that rant.
But I don't know. Maybe.
So as I was saying, an underlying theme in this movie is the developing relationship between these two. She used him as a one-night stand for prom because she wanted to get laid and she knew he was easy. And she dipped out on him before he even woke up in the morning. I don't think he's talked to her since then. And if you notice, like, they're able to communicate with each other. They're honest. They're open. They're friends. They can effectively communicate. They're comfortable. The conversation they had on the couch in the last one, where she told him she stuck flute in her pussy, like, they're building a genuine relationship. They actually get along. But he's misguided in that he's still pursuing Nadia because he thinks that that's going to work out.
Really?
And he's come to Michelle to assist him in the process of pursuing Nadia.
Yeah.
So at this point right now, they're just kind of friends. But throughout the course of her teaching him some moves and how to go about getting Nadia, a relationship develops there. And then obviously we know that they end up getting married in the next movie. That's what I am. I'm pissed off.
Are you peeing?
I just got a massive head injury. I don't know who I am. Excuse me. Sorry. All right. I need to have a cigarette after that. I just don't know exactly how to... we try to stop him from drinking stuff too late. But occasionally, dinner time or something runs too close to his bedtime, and what am I going to tell him that he has to eat dinner with nothing to drink? That doesn't seem very fair. I had been in the habit of waking him up, like, you know, around midnight, 1 in the morning, whenever I was going to bed or leaving for work, and I would have him go to the bathroom. But it's only 11. It was 11:15 when he came out here. I was planning on having him go to the bathroom after this commentary was recorded. And that's just a band-aid. Because that still requires me to get him out of bed and take him in there for him to go to the bathroom. I need him to learn how to get up and go to the bathroom when he has to. I don't know how you teach someone that he's asleep. Anyway, back to the movie. So, after receiving a concussion from the Liberty Bell, Jim has been mistaken for somebody from the special needs portion of band camp named Petey, and he's in an amphitheater performing a concert for all these adults on an instrument that he is completely unfamiliar with and has no ability to play whatsoever. And they all think he's named Petey. And he's also wearing an outfit that is way too small. It actually is on brand for fashion today. That's something somebody would wear now, those short-ass shorts and a polo shirt that's a size too small. He puts up a spirited performance, though. You got to give it to him. He gets people behind him, and he's having a good time. He's no fucking musical ability whatsoever, though. Oh, one time we were outside at the house that my family and I lived in when I was in high school. And I think my dad and I were working on a car. And the kid across the street, you could hear him practicing his saxophone, some type of a horn, in his house. And all of a sudden, my dad gets up and he goes, "Way to go, Petey!" Oh, I about fell out. I had to sit down for a minute. And I have gigantic balls. No. Not a good, no. Man, I left my motherfucking coffee over there. I ain't say MF one motherfucking time. I said the goddamn motherfucking coffee. That's okay. For every problem, I have a solution. We'll just go get it. Sorry if I sound kind of phlegmy. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm fine. And then I start drinking some coffee, and I get all fucking clogged up in my ear, nose, throat area. The cigarette smoking probably doesn't help. Yeah, that's how it works. No, you plop a keg on the deck, and dudes come in off the beach. Sausage fest. Yeah. What, you called your ex-girlfriend and had her bring her unattractive friend?
Since when do you start listening to the Shermanator? Since you made me realize there's an abundance of wiener here. I mean, look around, dude.
Did? Look around, dude. Oh, there's his ex-girlfriend and her unattractive friend.
Well, there was this one guy. How about you?
I mean, she's okay. This, in my opinion. To each their own. Eye of the beholder, all that good shit. Just, you put them next to each other, and it's Tara Reid and her unattractive friend. It's just the way it is. Sure as black as dark and white as bright. Or whatever the fuck I was thinking about saying. Hear what I mean.
Uninteresting. How about you, Jessica? How many chicks did you sleep with this year?
The shit talking in this one is on point. He's about to walk out and ask Jim to put his shirt on because he's scaring all the chicks away.
Hey, Vic, you want to play?
Kevin, being a little bitch, not letting it go. Chasing her like a lost puppy. It used to be okay to just talk shit to people like that. It was all in good fun. Now it's a microaggression and you're hurting their feelings. And words are assault. I'm physically harmed because you told me to put my shirt on. Glimpse of the excellent Chris Klein acting right here.
Amazing. Yes.
Force is strong with that one. Poor Jim. He's just average in every way. He's a nice guy, though. Not Jewish, not Jewish. That's from the next movie. Her last name's Flaherty. She has, like, you thought she was Jewish?
No, your last name is Sherman, right? And that rhymes with The Terminator, which was a big hit movie, what, like 10 years ago? You can't tell me.
Like 10 years ago. Bitch, Terminator came out in like 1984. It was like almost 20 years ago. Better recognize. You failed film class. Sarah Connor. Actually, it's Sarah Connor. Yes. Shout out to Randy. Rest in peace, Randy. We got robbed of you for 2.5 Scream films, and it was a travesty. Pour one out for the homies.
What does he mean? Like, hang out, grab lunch, whatever. I told you we're just friends.
You're naive.
Totally understands. I'm sure he understands quite well. Because, oh no, sure, these are all wrong for you. I mean, seriously.
The kind of weird color quality that Tara Reid's face and skin has, is that from like a tanning bed or is that a makeup thing? She's got like this weird glow to her.
Vicky only slept with one guy since we went out. I mean, that like makes me 50% of her entire guy-related life.
That doesn't mean you were good.
She didn't sleep with one guy. She slept with these three. What? When a girl tells you how many guys she slept with.
This line right here, or this movie, was in the rule of 3 or the law of 3. It was responsible for a lot of people thinking that way for years. Oh, you've only slept with one girl? I think it's really 3. Everybody knows that you multiply by 3. Or actually with dudes you divide by 3.
It's not even close to. Take that number and divide it by 3, then you get the real total.
See, I was always just straight up with the real total. I don't need to... There's no scoreboard for that. There's no winner, there's no awards. And we all already know who the undisputed king is, right? Wilt is still Chamberlain. Yeah, it's slightly, this wouldn't go over today. Because he's just assuming because they're girls and they're hanging out together that they're lesbians. People would get offended and triggered by this in so many ways. Finch, who is the intellectual of the group, points out that it's pretty homophobic to assume that they are lesbians. But that's going to build towards another doubling down of an element we got in the previous film, which was the Nadia scene, where she strips down, has the interaction with Jim. The scene with those girls later is basically just a recreation of that, but the ante is upped. There's more participants. It plays out for longer, etc. Damn, she got booty. Those pants, I like pinstriped pants on a girl with a booty. It's how I found my wife. We used to work together, and she had these work pants. My God. Not really into it. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm more into the visual and the physical part of the sex than the talking and the narration. Yeah, the audience feels awkward too. Tell you how big it is? Do you want exact measurements? Do you want me to make a comparison to a object that you would know the size of? How far do you want me to take this? Call waiting. Hey G, I was just calling because your daughter came to my house today and she kicked my dog. And now my dog need operation.
Okay, I'm trying to have sex with my girlfriend over the phone.
Don't you ever tell me to fuck. Fuck you, man. Your daughter kicked my dog. And now I'm going to fuck her. Oh my God.
Oh, Heather, baby. Why don't you tell me my dick is as big as Stifler?
Stifler. This is all pretty good. This is the ideas, the concepts of like we can make this funny. We can put this scene here that's funny. It's well executed and thought out. It doesn't feel like a rushed sequel. It fits right in there. Now this song I've heard before. I can't name it or tell you who sings it. Oh, it's Pinch Me. Go ahead and pinch me. But I still don't know who it's by. Weezer? Yes, Weezer. Kick me. Kick me? Pinch me? Fuck it. Jim, why are you wearing a button front shirt to paint a house? Stifler's a liability. You can't hang out with people that are going to act like this. I would just leave. Let them find you in there, but I'm not hanging out. I'm not going to be explaining any of this. A major part of male culture used to be calling your friends gay. I don't think you're allowed to do that anymore. I think you like get expelled from school or something. But that's and with a lot of my jobs, I was working around minorities, mainly Mexicans. And once you learn a little bit of Spanish, you find out that Mexican dudes are just calling each other gay all day long. That's like all 80% of their interactions at work are just calling each other gay in various ways, or insinuating that they're gay, or ruthless nicknames that are on the nose. Like, what does that mean? Oh, it means it's like a rat. Why do you call him that? Because he looks like a rat. Oh, okay. They're just raw. I used to always have a real close buzz cut back then, late high school, after I got out of high school. And so once it grows out a bit, it gets that little fuzzy. And they told me that it would look like the feathers on a baby chicken, so they started calling me Pollito. From then on, I was Pollito. And there was a guy with a big handlebar mustache, and he was Bigotes. So this is the scene I was talking about, where there's a voyeuristic element to it, just like the Nadia scene. There's the stripping element to it. And then there's going to be the kind of fantasy-like interaction between the guys and the girls in a minute. I'm torn between these two girls. And of course, Kevin is talking about it over the walkie-talkies, and that's interfering with other people's frequencies on other walkie-talkies, CB radios. But back to these girls. I think I'm going to have to go with Itty Bitty Titty Committee. I mean, the other girl, this girl here, she would fill out her dress better. Like, evening gown, that kind of thing. But I like the bootay on the short-haired girl. And I have a suspicion that the other girl has fake tits, and I don't need all that. I'll just go with the little mosquito bites and that ultra spankable booty that I can bury my face in. And that is good enough for me. Can you see? Everything I hope for. Oh, this would be so weird. They thought she had nicknamed her dildo, but she was actually talking about a Johnny West action figure. Look at those thighs on spaghetti strap there. I feel like her face is going to hold up better, too. And she's got that booty, but nice skinny arms. It's a good proportions. Probably going to age well. Make me happy and pence. There's this weird thing where these movies are made with content that is definitely supposed to be for adults, but their target audience is teenagers. And this is just a fucking boner scene for teenage guys and dudes who don't get laid, basically. Only drawback to that is you have the interactions with the dudes mixed in with the hot chicks that kind of takes away from its spankability. But when you're 13 years old, you can jerk off to this movie, no problem.
Who the hell is that?
You don't need to be ashamed of it.
Turning off my radio now.
Yeah, of course you are.
Where should I touch it?
Ass, baby, feel that ass. Yeah, Stifler knows where I'm going. She's got nice legs too. She works out. That's some squatting thighs.
I know.
The way that the thickness and fullness goes all the way down to the knee and it's tight. Sometimes girls will have good booty genetics, but then you see when it gets down to their legs, they're like little twigs. Or they only look good from a certain angle. Hers are nice and full all the way around. There's girth there. Minimal jiggle when you smack that one.
One finger on the cheek.
We want
Palms grasping.
That's too much. No.
you don't touch, we don't touch.
Squeeze his ass, son. You'll like it.
And this is probably a scene that makes people pissed off too, because they're toying with the homophobia and the dudes doing the homoerotic stuff that they're so against and they seem disgusted by. But if you're not gay, that's kind of how you feel about it. Like, you're disgusted by the thought of grabbing your friend's ass that's a dude. It's just... Are you not allowed to be sexually attracted to certain things and not sexually attracted to others? Are you not allowed to find things disgusting? I don't know. I just think that there would probably today people would have problems with this scene, and it's a movie. It's fine. It doesn't have to convey everybody's opinion, but it's definitely conveying the opinion of a certain segment of the population accurately. And this is where people in the audience are going, "Oh man, no, what? You sure about that?" And of course, the girls are just fucking with them, playing mind tricks on them. It's like the strategy. They're masterminds. They're geniuses, and they pull it off so well. Because they're not actually gay, and they're just feeling each other's tits and.
That's how you kiss your mother.
Anything? They're leading them on a little bit. They don't do anything they want after this. They want them to jerk each other off.
That is what I'm talking about.
Oh, Kev, you can look.
Come on, bro. I don't need all that.
Good boy. Very good.
Dude, you're a fucking lousy kisser.
That is a weird conversation to have. Like, why were you... So you were trying to do a good job, and you were judging my job like you weren't just... I think we were coming from this towards this kiss from different perspectives. Finch understands that the juice is probably worth the squeeze, and he's willing to go down with the ship. I don't know that I could watch these chicks make out and like get turned on standing next to my buddies. Maybe I could. I mean, I've gone to strip clubs with friends and gotten turned on while sitting next to them. But what's the end game here? Are we going to see each other's dicks, even if we end up getting hand jobs or something? Or, I don't know if I want to see everybody's dicks. Can we go in the closet by ourselves?
You do him.
What?
Yeah.
You go.
We go.
You go.
We go.
Sorry, dude, I got calloused hands.
Okay.
This is a surprising move for Stifler.
So I know
He's willing to get a hand job from these guys.
I need to keep this party going. Taking one for the team.
And that's the final straw for them. And now they're just gonna keep painting these chicks' houses after they had this fucking weird, manipulative, quasi-sexual interaction with them. But Stifler's out right now getting some gifts to reaffirm everybody's heterosexualness.
You guys, you wanna play some asshole?
Watching the game.
I just wanna do something together.
I was glorifying the social dynamics of life back then and how you hung out with your friends and talked and played cards. We did have a lot of downtime where you were bored as fuck, though. You watched a baseball game, you played the same card game over again. It wasn't always great, but you had time to reminisce and look back. Now it's just constantly new shit getting poured in, and it's so much that the retention is not there. At least for me, I don't retain things nearly as much as I used to, and I think it's just because they don't have a chance to permeate. It's in, and it hangs out for a second, and then something else comes in and shoves it right off the edge.
I didn't really think that you're going to be in Michigan, so. Yeah, you're more than welcome.
It's like the older stuff is back there and set in stone, and the new stuff just kind of jockeys for position in the front, and a bunch of it gets pushed off. Another kind of, like, you bought porn for your friends. I know it's not something I can find porn, but no internet, smartphones, any of that shit. If they didn't bring it, it's not there. You have porn everywhere you go now in your pocket. You better appreciate that shit. It's only been that way for a very short period of time. Like less than 10 years, I think.
I'm a bad, bad man. Well, I thought you had said that, so
I'm not ordinarily into redheaded girls, but Michelle does have this kind of cute, quirky quality to her.
I don't want to be this.
She's very relatable. Like, you just seem like you could talk to her. Or you feel like you could talk to her. She seemed more... In the first one, she's pretty cartoonish, though. In this one, she's still kind of cartoonish. You almost seem like there might be something mentally off there. But by the American Wedding, she just feels like a totally normal person. And then, of course, she leapfrogs into How I Met Your Mother, and probably made a fucking $1 trillion doing that show. And I hope felt satisfied creatively. I feel like that kind of gig would get to be boring.
Why would I pretend that?
Guys do
Well, I'm not like other guys.
See, look at this. They're actually developing a relationship. They are getting to know each other.
Really?
He's in lust with the image of Nadia, what she represents to him. He's projecting all that onto her. He really doesn't know that much about her other than the fact she's sexy, and he thinks that that's going to be enough. She doesn't really know much about him. They haven't talked, really. They had this weird interaction in his bedroom, and then she's going to come visit him.
You gotta preheat the oven before you stick in the turkey.
Okay.
Kiss me.
And these guys have a vulnerability between them There is the aspect that he has no fucking clue what he's doing that might make him quasi unattractive to her. Unless she seems to be into the kind of educating, walking them along thing. She seems to like teaching. I don't know this guy's name, but he shows up in a lot of kind of zany comedies over the years. He's in Spaceballs. Spaceballs. Totally underrated comedy movie. That is a fucking good movie. Especially in the realm of parody. Mel Brooks. He's a gangster. I don't know if Mel Brooks could make movies today. He'd offend people. Look at Blazing Saddles. Like, the N-word gets thrown around in Blazing Saddles like nobody's business. And it's funny. Okay? It is funny. It works. But nobody would even bother to look at the context today. It would just be black and white written down on paper. This is what was said this many times. And it would never get approved.
Gilligan's Island, Mr. Crow.
What?
You've got to control yourself and think of something non-sexual. I haven't even touched you yet, and you're turning into this year's towel.
I'm sorry.
Having a hard-on doesn't necessarily equate to how long you're going to last.
Okay.
He needs to control the vibe, not delay his hard-on. Hold on. I don't want to get hard for 30 more seconds so I can last longer.
Cleaning my bathroom.
This is a violation of my barriers here, in more ways than one. Yeah, my thresholds. You're not allowed to don't do this to me without informing me beforehand, because I'll probably tell you that I want to decline that proposition. The horn honks when he pulls it out of his ass. I apologize if you guys can hear my fucking dryer in the background. As a result of the pissed bed, I had to do some laundry. She gave you a goodbye kiss, dude. That's not nothing.
Oh, what is it? Yes, cool. Yeah, look at this entry.
I have a sneaking suspicion that if he ever did get in a relationship with Nadia, he would discover he was putting her up on a pedestal. Because he's pursuing her as if she's this perfect representation of a female. And he is strictly going off of her looks. She barely speaks English.
Finch, we're playing gin. Oh. Dude.
What? What is this, like Avril Lavigne? And let me you and where you are, or something around those lines. Jim's just trying to find himself. He doesn't know where he belongs, and now he's trying to copy Finch and do kung fu theater at the same time. But he doesn't get the subtleties, the nuance of why people are doing it. And he had to break the lamp. That's going to come back into play later. Finch is very comfortable in his own skin, that's one thing. He doesn't seem to have those issues where he acts a certain way because he's worried about how he's going to be perceived. Another classic Jim move, he's fixing the lamp with super glue, but it's laying on its side, and then he actually has glued it to the table in the process. Oh, that's something that would have happened to me when I was a kid. My dad used to say I was the dumbest smart kid he knew. I would just do clumsy shit because I missed a mundane detail. Like an Office Space thing. Put the decimal in the wrong spot. Caused a catastrophic criminal enterprise when it was supposed to be this small thing.
Chicago is beautiful, but it would be better if you were here. I'm counting the days.
So, Jim's most embarrassing moment. Well, he had a couple. Fuck. It's debatable, right? Was it the internet streaming coming in his pants twice? or his dad coming in and finding him fucking the pie. Probably the internet thing, right? Because that's your peers. The other one's just your dad, and that's going to be let go. Nonetheless, he's about to have his most embarrassing moment of this film with an ante up. It's got to be more ridiculous, more over the top, and more embarrassing. And it achieves that. This is another one of those classic scenes, and it's like a what the fuck would you do moment. It's kind of plausible, but super glue is super glue because it dries so quickly. It's very tacky immediately. So as soon as he squirts it in his hand here and starts rubbing it around, he would be able to tell that it's super glue. Like you would, right now, you'd be able to feel it stiffening up on your skin. And he would not get this many strokes deep before he discovers that it's super glue. And it wouldn't just instantaneously dry in motion either. But we'll suspend disbelief for the sake of the film, because it does play out hilarious if you just take it at face value for what it is. He has super glued his hand to his dick. And it looks like his hand probably encompasses his entire dick. Doesn't look like there's any head sticking out the top of that fist. Ah. Everybody hears this when he falls out of bed, but all the other shit that he does after that, nobody's the wiser. Nobody wakes up. Nobody hears a goddamn thing. He's trying to open the door with his mouth. He's taking a shower. Ooh. Smooth Criminal by Alien Ant Farm. I know this song. Originally by Michael Jackson. Don't try to come at me with, he doesn't even know it's a remake. I fucking know it's a remake, okay? That is one of the cons of a Papa San chair. You can't just plop down in that bitch like that. Oh, fuck. How did he get the water on, get the thing up and around his neck? How did he get the phone on the... Anyway. Oh, excuse me. They're going to tell him paint thinner. That would hurt so bad. The skin down there is going to be fucked. The skin on your dick is sensitive. It doesn't get exposed to anything. It's barely rubbed. No light. Not really free-flowing air. You know, the elements. Rain, wind. Your dick's protected from most all that. Zippers are really the only enemy of your dick. And maybe the occasional, like, tooth or wild girl bucking bronco shit. So all of a sudden you start exposing it to super glue and paint thinner. You're going to have some weird burning rash feelings, swelling. It's not going to be comfortable for you for a while. Oh, this nosy bitch. I guess if you just watch what he's doing, you have no idea. It seems pretty sinister. Doesn't seem innocent. He's got his hand in his pants. He's walking on the roof in the middle of the night. You can do that, dude. You just gotta hop down, land on your feet, do a roll over your shoulder. He'd probably get shot nowadays. How'd they get him down off the roof? That dude right there, that paramedic, that's Shannon Elizabeth's husband. How did you pull that, dude? What is... He must have that big dick energy. Because... she could have... You'd think her husband would look like Chris Klein. Not this guy. This guy looks like he's an extra on Sons of Anarchy.
Excuse me, sir. Are you a family member?
What do you want to see his dick? You already know everything that happened. What are you going to gain by going in the ambulance? He's got Pussy Palace super glued to his fucking hand. So it's just more Jim being Jim. And his dad is a great dad, honestly. He's always got advice that's on point. He's understanding. He doesn't come down on him too hard. It gives him room to fuck up and develop.
Doesn't look too bad, Jim. Good job, Doctor.
The swelling should subside later.
That is the body of an athlete right there.
Beach parties in a week.
Don't take your organs to heaven, that sign in the back wall said. Fuck you, dude.
Doctor, my son has a party in 7 days, and
If I decide that I want to donate my organs, all of a sudden I have put a value on them.
I tell your son to keep his
And that value might be worth something to someone more than my life.
I'm not saying, but if
I don't know if I explained that accurately.
decide
Somebody may decide that instead of saving me, they'd just rather sell my organs. So therefore, I don't want to be an organ donor because I don't want that to ever happen. Plus the Chris Rock joke. Well, they figure out how to bring people back from the dead. Now I ain't got no eyes.
shave a couple of days off.
Everything's about mama. Love my mama. Mama was always there. Mama's the best. Mama, mama, mama. What about the daddies? Papa was a rolling stone. Chris Rock was a bad motherfucker. The bigger, blacker days. Get in that kitchen and give me my big piece of chicken. Fuck. I think that was right around this time, actually.
I don't know how I get myself into these things.
Maybe like a year before it.
But thanks for understanding
You ever just feel your leather? Yeah.
between this and, you know,
If you're unaware, Eugene Levy is the car salesman in National Lampoon's Vacation, the original with Chevy Chase. You want this here, the family truckster. If you're taking the whole tribe cross country, this is a vehicle for you. Wanted the sport wagon in metallic blue. Or is it metallic P? Whatever. You get my drift. You know my flow. Don't forget your penis cream. My aunt did that shit to me once. I didn't even need penis cream. She's just doing it to embarrass me in front of my fucking friends. She's walking up the stairs and she threw me, I think it was like a Carmex, and goes, "Don't forget your penis cream." Like, you motherfucker.
What was it? Right there, that was a pure tantric moment.
You're a fucking weirdo, dude.
It was all erotic. One more step.
It's a jizz-free ficus, Finch fucker. I almost called him Phil.
stay the fuck away from that ficus.
Those eggs and toast look good. Can I have some of that? Who's cooking? Oz? Oz, make me some of that shit. I want 6 pieces of toast with strawberry jam. If you're gonna make the eggs scrambled, that's fine, but I want some cheese and ham in that bitch. I want 6 strips of crispy bacon, 3 sausage links, and a half a pound of hash browns.
Oh, you're here now? No, that's cool.
Ketchup. Ketchup?
You wanna hang out with
Yeah,
me?
ketchup.
Okay then, I'll meet you up front.
Do you have like a mild picante? That might be good too.
Hey, Stifler, was that?
Thanks, Oz, buddy. Way to pull your weight.
My lady has arrived.
Stifler's been being vague and nondescript with who he's talking to on the phone, when they're coming to visit, why, and he's pulling a fast one on Finch. Finch thinks that the mom is coming this whole time. Fuckers, fuckers, fuckers. And it's Stifler's little brother in the middle of his voice dropping in puberty.
What are you doing here?
Pussy, man. Here for the pussy.
Take a number.
Is that a fucking dress?
Fucking dress? You wearing a dress?
Why would you want to wear that? Like, in Finch's mind, is he coming downstairs thinking that he looks sexy in that? He thinks that that Stifler's mom would want to see him wearing this tapestry. He looks like he's wearing my great grandma's curtains.
Entire stockpile is wasted and I look ridiculous.
You do look ridiculous. Why did it take this moment for you to realize you looked ridiculous? Were you in some type of a manic state? I don't exactly understand how you thought that looked good. Are there no mirrors upstairs?
Fucking females.
Is it pitch black dark up there?
Can't believe I finally got you alone.
Wouldn't say I'm alone.
Three?
So,
Could you please get your balls off me?
1, 2. Good. Guess what I had in mind.
You were gonna put your hand in your shirt and rub your nipples some more?
Hey, Marco, can you?
Those aren't even nice soccer balls. Those are the most generic soccer balls you could ever have. Just those black and white fucking,
It's just my flat.
what is it?
I guess this is
A hexagon and a pentagon? Is that 5 and 6?
I can't wait.
I can't wait either.
Bye-bye.
If you've never noticed the... Oh.
You're here? You're here? Well, oh, what are you doing here?
Jim, I got so tired of sight.
Anyway,
But you're early.
Hey?
I just don't like her hair. Does she have extensions in? What is up with her hair? It doesn't look right.
No. Don't leave.
But still.
No leaving. No.
All that.
It's just I'm not gonna be ready.
The party.
We'll be ready.
See, we have to play games. He has to act like he's not just trying to fuck her and that's all he cares about. So he can't say, my dick's not going to be ready for a week. This is not going to work for me. He's got to say the party's not going to be ready.
Sit in my room now. Holy shit.
And now he makes the decision that is going to drive him and Michelle together more than anything else ever has. They're going to come up with this hoax relationship, a kind of can't buy me love situation, but not exactly the same dynamic,
Break up the day of the party.
wherein
All healed and back to
Michelle and Jim are going to pretend to be a couple for the next week so that he is sexually unavailable to Nadia.
and I know how to
Then, right when his pecker is ready to stand at attention, they'll break
We
up.
started seeing each other a few weeks ago.
And that includes fucking me in the ass.
But I really love it if you stayed here. I think you should stay. And have fun at the party.
Good for you, Jim.
Part of what makes the Michelle character cool and attractive is that she's not putting on a front. She just is who she is. There's no, what you see is what you get. She's going to tell you what she feels. She's going to call it how she sees it. Yeah, Finch, it's time to get over it and find a girl that you can have a future with. Not somebody that's 25 years older and is the mother of a guy that you don't like. At least claim to not like. I bet you that he'd go to Stifler's funeral and cry. Surprise finger up the butt. There you go. These are the kind of scenes that Chris Klein's good in. That's I might be guilty of, my God. I'd rub sun tanning lotion on her all day. Look at me. I'm sitting here doing the same thing that I'm accusing Jim of doing. I don't know anything about Shannon Elizabeth. I'm just holding her up on this pedestal because of how she looks. But the fantasy is go back in time and have sex, right? Not go back in time and marry a bitch. Or the girl. She's not a bitch. I'm just... Anyway, just teaching Jim how to take off a bra with one hand. I didn't need to be taught that. Once you understand the mechanism that holds the bra on, it's pretty easy to decipher a method for removing that with one hand. It's just a pinch and a slide. Let go, pop, pops right apart. I seriously did it my first attempt ever. Left-handed. Under a sweatshirt, too. It was almost like a weird dare. I was rubbing my girlfriend's back. We were watching a football game sitting on the hill because we were the visiting team. And I slid my hand up kind of by her bra, which when you're in high school, that's like breaking new ground. It's like, am I allowed to be up here? Is she going to freak out? How's this going to play? And she was like, oh, just take it off. And I was like, you really want me to? And she's like, you think you can? And I just whoop, did the pinch and slide, and that bitch popped right off. And then she got that shock, like, I can't believe you just did that. Like, she really wasn't expecting me to be able to do it. So then she had to figure out how she was going to fix it while we're sitting outside watching this football game.
You ready to break up?
See, they're getting close, and she's sad because Jim doesn't see it. He's blinded by the glitz and glamour that is Nadia.
I hate your guts anyway.
Don't say that.
And I don't care if you did give me 10 orgasms in a row because you smell really bad.
No.
We've been having so much sex and I haven't showered and I want to shower.
Oh.
So don't you go being all super sexy guy anymore because I am now impervious to your unrelenting machismo and sexual ardor. And that includes fucking me in the ass.
What a solid performance. But it's a bit callous to assume that Naughty is going to be willing to jump in the sack with him the day that he just broke up with his girlfriend like this. Aw, she wubs him. They're the nerds that belong together. They're each other's unicorn, or whatever the fuck. They're each other's lack of options. Typical movie party scene that you've never seen in your life. I mean, you've seen this scene in many movies, but have you ever actually been to a party that was like this?
Hey,
So glad you came.
That's my question for you.
Can I help you?
Who's this dude that wants to be a model but his face is 10% off?
it's my date.
Somebody got punched in the stomach. See, this is where communication is key. She's been telling him that there's nothing there, and he has been secretly in his head building it up that they're about to get back together without asking her, hey, where do we stand here, babe? So now he's got his little bitch heart broken because she showed up with a date when she didn't even know there was anything going on.
Whatever you want, Jim. What's this?
And maybe it's a competition, dude. Maybe you need to step your game up. Maybe quit feeling sorry for your fucking self. Are you seeing this party, motherfucker? There's bitches over here.
Want to tell us what's up? You want to feel Fitch's ass?
And then we've got this scene where they talk it out and they decide to, they set everybody's agenda and then they progress back into the party. As sequels go, this actually is not a bad sequel. I think the problem is that it came so close. Like, there's this weird thing where you see a good movie and you immediately want another one. And they want to capitalize on the fever pitch that the other one reached, so they don't want people to lose interest, so they come out with a sequel right away. And it's kind of feeding both those needs. But you get tired of shit. So, if you put a little bit more space between them, it has a chance for the other one to fall out of your head a little bit, and these interactions that aren't that unique, but that are kind of cornerstone to the franchise, don't feel as tired and worn out, overdone. But if you just bap with them, then people are like, okay, I get what's happening here. We've done this before. this almost fell along the Scream pattern. It was a few years later, but they came out with 3 movies in quick succession and then had like a 10-year gap before the 4th one. Again, if you know where a party like this is at, send me the address, but I ain't never seen it. I've seen it on a very small scale, but everybody's not having this good a time. It's not this spread out and upbeat. And a much different demographic. It's usually mostly dudes, and they usually share like a sports team, music, something like that. Gotta give the kid credit for confidence. It's a numbers game, and it's gonna work eventually. Look at your shirt, dude. What is it with Stifler's shirts? Was that what was in style back then? Is that like what you would wear to the club? Because that shit's disgusting. It's definitely got that 2000s collar. The lapel comes to a nice sharp point, and it's too wide. Nothing here gets broken or fucked up. There's no fights. No roofies. This isn't an authentic party. What's the kind of collar that Finch has on his shirt? It's like a preacher collar or something, where it doesn't actually... You don't put a tie on it, but it goes all the way up to the top button.
When you travel as much as I do, you used to looking down. But I have very too advice.
I wonder how much is left in this movie. I need more coffee. Can we go in there? Her fucking accent is horrible.
Yes, we can.
I really wish that they had settled on a better direction for her accent in the first film and then followed through with it in this one, because you can't even tell what country she's supposed to be from half the time. It's all over the place. It seems fake. This is the seminal moment. Oh, fuck me. God damn it. I just smacked my elbow on the corner of the wall so hard. Whoo. You probably heard it. Oh, god damn it. Oh, it was on my forearm side at the elbow. Just like an inch from the tip. That's what she said. God damn, that hurt. Your sister's cunt.
What do you mean?
Oh, it's like a support wall that separates the kitchen and the living room, so it's only like 4 inches wide, and the corners are hard as fuck. Anyway, what I was about to talk about, Jim is realizing that he has more in common with Michelle than he does with Nadia, and that's who he's really connected to.
Everyone thought I was this Petey guy, but I didn't know what to think.
And he's even starting to tell stories the way Michelle does.
I didn't know what I was doing.
And it was so funny.
I gotta go. Nadia, please don't take this the wrong way, but
What, are you going to put it in her butt? How could she take it the wrong way?
as much as I may really regret what I'm about to do.
That is the one I gotta... If I have a criticism of vintage Shannon Elizabeth, it's the booty. I feel like the booty wasn't there. She's holding up well to this day, though. I saw her... I don't remember what I saw her on, but she still looks pretty good. All things considered.
You go get your geek.
Married to fucking Sons of Anarchy.
Someday I'm gonna find fun.
And Nadia ends up being the completion of a 2-film long character arc, which is the Shermanator.
Kevin Myers.
The end of both of those characters, I think in the franchise, I don't know if Shermanator's in it anymore. I'm pretty sure Nadia is not in anything after this. they wrote Shannon Elizabeth out of the franchise after this movie. But Shermanator, desperate to find that one girl. He's essentially a geek, but thinks he's trying to be cool. Nadia can't quite find the connection with Jim. It's not working out. She's like the hottest chick in the school. They're working their way through it. They have the prom, college, all that. And then somehow they're going to end up at this party. And she's going to be the one for him. They just link up at the right moment. And then both fade into obscurity. I'm kidding. Shannon Elizabeth, of course, went on to be Boo Boo Kitty Fuck in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I don't know what year that came out. Like, 02? 03? No, it definitely wasn't that late. It wasn't 03. It was 01 or 02.
Come on, what you're all about. Go do it.
Steve, this cop watch thing is horseshit. Hello?
Welcome to being the lowest man on the totem pole.
It sucks.
And sometimes you find a diamond in the rough. It's the two quote-unquote lesbians whose house they were painting. Here's what I was talking about. These two character arcs, two films long, start in one place, end back together. They were both at that party in the beginning of the first movie, where Jim has his scene where he thinks he's gonna walk up and be all sly with Nadia, and she is in the middle of talking to her friends and has no fucking idea what he wants. Yes, you are, geek, and you're my geek. I shall be speaking Swedish, yeah. In Swedish, we have a meatball. I shall have a son, his name is Dirk.
A sophisticated sex robot sent back through time.
Was I going Jar Jar Binks there? Misa. Oh, Jar Jar Binks, what a fucking abomination. If there was ever a character that didn't fit. What a come up for Shermanator, though. This is probably going to ruin his life. He's never going to find a better catch than Nadia. He better marry her. You better spend 25, 35 minutes with your short game doing some tongue action and really get her enthused about this relationship. Ride this bitch out. You gotta play this hand out. You gotta know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And this is when you hold, Shermanator. I've never engaged in a good, healthy game of strip poker or Twister. Seems like I could have fun doing that. Then again, I could just be sitting in a fucking dinette chair with my soft dick and my smelly asshole exposed to everybody.
Brilliant. You found lesbians. Oh, good luck trying to break through that force field.
Lesbians. We never said that.
Oh, Stifler, you're about to have the night of your life. And you owe your brother like $20 for the hookup.
We never said that.
This is like intro to pimping right here. Hey, I found these two girls. You interested? Maybe we can work something out. Is pimping easy? Hell yeah.
I'll shake some ass if they need it. Oh yeah, you heard me. It's true. I'll kiss everybody here. Dudes, chicks, everybody. Because I am comfortable with my sexuality.
He's quote unquote comfortable with his sexuality in this, but they revert that in the next one and he becomes very homophobic again. The Stifler's character in American Wedding, I think, is probably the worst part. I don't know if it's Sean William Scott's portrayal, if it's how it's written, if it's the director, but it's not the same Stifler as it is in these first two movies. That fucking laugh. They're trying too hard. I gotta take a piss, so y'all listen to the movie for a hot second.
special boy.
And this is the era of Matchbox 20 and Creed. There was some good music that came out of that, but just like any era of popular music, you have a lot of bands that get in because it's a hot topic. It's popular at the time. It happened with metal, happened with grunge. You have your authentic classics, great musicians, and then you have some bands that were mediocre or just above that kind of slipped into the fad. And I'm not saying that this band or this song qualifies as that, but there's a kind of tone to the era. If I could do like that, with arms wide open. And then you had kind of a little bit later, the Good Charlotte, Simple Plan. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. This is the anthem, throw your fucking hands up. I actually like that song, the anthem song by Good Charlotte, but it's a little bit like, I felt like these dudes were trying to act like they were hard, and that's because nobody's ever pulled their card. Spoken rhyme. Wish I could do that all the time. Oh, are we gonna rekindle something now, or is she gonna lead him on? This is a bit fucked up. Either you do or you don't want to pursue things with him. And dancing is like clothed sex in a lot of ways. So if you're gonna give him this little nugget, there needs to be something at the end of the tunnel. Man, they are dancing as white as dudes dance. They're just bouncing up and down in place and kind of swaying. It's like a fast motion drunk stagger. Surprised nobody's doing the dice, Seth Rogen and Knocked Up. Let me see your hips swing. That would be a cool moment to have with your friends, but it's always a letdown after stuff like that, right? Like the last day, like you're on a camping trip, spring break, summer vacation, whatever, where you're kind of packing up and gearing yourself back towards reality. That's kind of a low feeling, right? Like the ride home from Disneyland. That's like the best way to refer to it, right? It's a ride home from Disneyland. Nothing gives you that feeling like fucking ecstasy. The day after you take ecstasy, it's like going from the highest high, no pun intended, to not the lowest low, but pretty fucking low. You start wondering if it was worth it. Like, when am I gonna feel right? It's like the trip home from Disneyland tenfold. Oh, Stifler. Accomplishment unlocked. He reached a milestone.
Sorry how things didn't work out for you. Everything was great. I have all the time in the world.
So, we gonna do this every summer? Hell yeah,
Of course we are, gentlemen.
You guys say that, but you're not. You're gonna diverge as time goes by. It's just a proximity issue. You have to put in a lot of effort to maintain those relationships. Granted, you're on the threshold of social media and Facebook and all that shit taking over. So they would have to go like maybe 10 years out of communication, or at least hindered by distance, before they would be able to stay in contact online all the time, every day.
And what's your name?
What? Janine. Janine Stifler.
Janine.
Sexy.
Okay.
Okay, Gina. It's actually Gina.
You know, I'm 19 years old. There's a whole world out there. I can't be obsessed with one woman.
That's the right mindset, dude.
Can't be.
There you go. Where did she get her money? They never address where Stifler's family gets his money. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Normally I try to go off mic or something. That one just snuck up on me. Because Stifler went here, stayed at this house with them, and worked all summer to pay for it. In the last movie, they had a fucking cabin at the lake. His family did, right? That's where the prom party was. Why didn't they all just go stay there?
Yeah, I think it was. I think so too.
Stifler doesn't know what his own mom's car looks like.
It was someone was lost looking for the lake. Yeah.
Fucking lake's right there.
The lake's right there.
That looks like a nice bag. What kind of bag is that, Stifler?
Incredible. You worried about? You got a girlfriend now.
Finch isn't that lucky, dude. He's fucking Stifler's mom. It's an unrealistic relationship in a lot of ways. You have a girlfriend. Girl, it's actually your age that you have some connection with. You vibe with. You have stuff in common. You get along well. Oh, Stifler's mom. Oh, Stifler's mom. I've always had age-appropriate sexual attractions. I never really was attracted to older women. Still really am not. It just seems to kind of be in line with my peers. Of course, as you get older, you still think that 21-year-old girls are hot. Make no mistake about it. But I think Neve Campbell in Scream 4 is probably my best example. Actually, Neve Campbell, period. The first run through the Scream movies when I was younger, I was just characters. This is Sidney Prescott, such and such. And then now that I'm older and I go back and I watch like Scream 2 especially, and she walks on screen, you go, fuck, she's hot. Jesus Christ, she's beautiful. And I guess it's perspective, I'm not really sure. But also, back then when I was first watching it, she was much older than me. Now, I'm older than her character in that. I went down a weird path here. Appreciate you guys sticking with me for this commentary companion podcast for American Pie 2. Hopefully I offered a little bit of insight. You kind of get to see the through lines that I see. Had a little bit of fun joking around and laughing. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good shit. Until the next time, this is Devin signing off and saying be easy.